Randy shares with us his experience in the secret space program called the Earth Defense Force. Randy, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. Good to be here.
Well, there are what you refer to as these bad actors, out there. What do you mean by that?
Well, of the species that we encounter, we have a breakdown that we call the 95-5.
What type of beings and, why are they bad actors?
Well, let's start with a couple of the classics, right? Since people are familiar with the draconians and the zeta reticulans. These are bad actors who are using the advanced technology that they have for genetic alteration to cripple a species, to make them sort of compliant as slave labor, to draw resources from, use as a food source, or to hybridize genetics between, when we're talking about the zetas, in order for the zetas to create hybrid children, to get some of their evolutionary soul back, as it were. It's a complicated subject that I won't spend too much time on, but we have other bad actors other than planetary conquerors. You have scavengers who are a threat to just show up, grab or steal something that they can grab a quantity of in a short amount of time and then run away with it. You have mercenaries.
What are these plasmid mercenaries you speak of?
Plasmid mercenaries come from a species in the Hydra system. They are a plasmid, which means that they are what appears to be a gelatinous liquid, and they're shapeshifters.
Oh, I've worked on these beings.
Yeah. So they've accepted that role in the universe, that they're really good at being sneaky and pretending to be other things, which makes them good to be mercenaries, assassins, and so forth, because, they are fine to do it for profit and for money, and they don't really care otherwise. I'd say as a species, they lack some of what we consider to be the ethical moral center. Doesn't mean that they're all bad or evil or nefarious. It just means they kind of don't care.
What jurisdiction do they fall under then? Who is protecting us from these mercenaries?
Because they're not a large military force or a large planetary conquering force, they kind of fall under the jurisdiction of local law enforcement. In the case of our own system, we have our own investigative personnel and our own law enforcement personnel who deal with that if necessary. Often the military ends up being the persons who are apprehending or capturing them in the first place, but usually then they're turned over.
Are they like space pirates? They're just all over the place, spread out?
They're mercenaries. I could go from plasmid mercenaries to pirates. And so piracy, it's, not just for the 1700s. Essentially, there are trade vehicles going back and forth all the time.
Are these bad actors in conflict with humans?
Wherever we run into them, and that they don't feel like they want to play nice and cooperate, we're in conflict with them. Other species are in conflict with them.
And you dealt with this in a combat situation with some of these.
Some of them, yes, absolutely,
right?
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. And which ones can you divulge? Which species that you were in conflict with?
I've certainly encountered plasmid mercenaries. We've encountered zeta reticulans. I've encountered draconians.
Is this happening today, Randy? Is this still going on?
Absolutely. Yeah, right this very minute.
Randy, can you give me an example of this going on today?
Sure. We've been receiving some intelligence that we have become a target of interest for these aggressive insectoids. We think that there is a reasonable chance that we might see them here in our own system sometime soon.
This actually coming to Earth or just making their presence known in our system?
I believe from the intelligence that we're receiving, we would see them make landfall on planet Earth.
And how does that look for us for the future?
Like an alien invasion.
What's the best way to combat these insectoids?
Probably with some of the technology that we've been using already. So hydraulically operated battle suits, plasma rifles, Gauss rifles. You want something that has, higher penetration power as far as, a projectile, or something that has a higher melting point like a plasma ball.
Randy, an amazing story. Thanks for being on the show.
Thanks for having me. It's always my pleasure to be here.
I'm Emery Smith, and this is Cosmic Disclosure. Until next time.
I got no sleep because of you. Now you get no sleep because of me. I got no sleep because of you. Now you get no sleep because of me.
Greetings and salutations, friends, and welcome back to Truthseekers. I've mentioned this before. Some of these UFO, secret space, con artist clowns, it's like whack-a-mole. We did some show on Randy Cramer some time ago by request of audience members, showing basically what a fraud and a con artist the guy is. But I guess he's making the rounds again. And I'm not sure if that's a good or a bad thing, but here we are, back again, playing whack-a-mole, trying to remind people that no, you can't trust this clown, Randy Cramer. For those that don't know, Randy Cramer came out with some incredible stories, and for 5 years has been claiming to be, among other things, a United States Marine. He's not. A secret space astronaut. He's not, and can't prove any of that. He also claimed to be a United States Navy SEAL who was battling Colombian drug cartels. Randy Cramer claims that he was genetically engineered to be a super soldier at a time that couldn't be possible. Because you see, he was born in 1970, and the human genome would not be even mapped until, I believe it's sometime in 2004, but we're going to cover that. He has made an incredible amount, a tremendous amount of ridiculous claims, like time traveling, going to Mars to fight insectoid aliens, having entire limbs regrown in holographic med beds. He ran a med bed scam on GoFundMe, which was taken down as a scam should be once GoFundMe was alerted. 1 second. So tonight, we're going to break down some of the substantial and supportive evidence and proof that Randy Cramer is a lying fraud and con man. Right now, Randy Cramer is selling courses, teaching people to have superpowers. That's right. Randy Cramer claims that he has psionic superpowers, like Charles Xavier from the X-Men. He's charging $333 for a course where he claims he's teaching people telekinesis, remote viewing, and other psychic abilities. And yet, we'll see tonight, when pressed to show the world his psychic powers, he refused to do that. Isn't that a little bit suspicious? You see, Randy Cramer was recently on a live stream with a show host that I knew would be friendly and allow me to ask questions. So we got a rare opportunity to actually ask Randy Cramer some questions. And he didn't like our questions one bit. We're going to share those things tonight, friends. Really, it was two major questions I asked. When was he going to prove that he was actually in the United States Marines? Because for 5 or 6 years now, he's been telling these fantastical stories claiming that he was a Marine. And every single person that checks with the National Records Center looking for his military records comes up empty. No record at all of Randy Cramer ever having been a United States Marine or currently serving as a United States Marine. He claims he is right now currently serving as a United States Marine, and he's an authorized spokesperson about the secret space program. That's right. The United States Marines, according to him, are paying him to go around and tell people stories about insectoid aliens on Mars, friends. Except if you call the United States Marines and speak to a media relations person, explain his story to them, when they're done laughing, they too may check and find the same thing. that Mr. Randy Cramer is not now, nor has he ever been a member of the United States Marines. And his stories just get more and more ridiculous. For example, he claims that he was a Navy SEAL. At the same time, he was a Marine. Friends, you can't be a United States Marine Corps enlisted man and be a Navy SEAL at the same time. It's one or the other. But this clown's so dumb, he thinks people don't know that. I don't know what to say. We're going to get into the proof and the substantial and supportive evidence that Mr. Randy Cramer is a lying, fraud, con artist. Now, the first thing that I want to address is his recent appearance with our friend Ryan from the Experiencer Support Network. I'm going to put up my fair use banner, even though that's a show friendly to us, and I'm sure he's okay with us sharing portions of his video interview with Mr. Randy Cramer. But we're going to put our fair use banner up just the same. And we are going to be showing you, this is what happens when you hold one of these frauds' feet to the fire and say, excuse me, you were never a Marine. When are you ever going to prove that you were actually a Marine, you con artist fraud? Except I asked it nicer. I did ask the question respectfully. And to his credit, Ryan from the Experiencer Support Network let me ask the question live on air in his live chat. And we want to thank him for that, because I have to say this very carefully. I was a little disappointed in Ryan, because Ryan truly believes that this man is telling the truth and offered him all kinds of outs and excuses for the questions being asked in the live chat. And by the way, there were several viewers of our show here in the live chat also trying to ask Randy Cramer for proof of his stupid claims. Ryan disappointed me somewhat, because Ryan is perhaps an experiencer himself. And I don't think that he is objective when it comes to the claims of experiencers. For Ryan, an experiencer's word is all you need. For Ryan, it appears that an experiencer just has to tell you their story, and you're supposed to believe them because that's that person's experience, and who are you to question it? But in the case of Randy Cramer and others, when they are making absolutely factually inaccurate statements that can be easily proven to be factually inaccurate, for example, saying I was in the United States Marine Corps, well, that's something that we can fact check. And every time you fact check Randy Cramer, you find out that he lied. Just for giggles, I checked with the United States Navy. And I checked with a former Navy SEAL. Remember, Randy Cramer claims that he was a United States Navy SEAL battling Colombian drug lords in Colombia. Well, Randy Cramer is so stupid, he doesn't realize that there is a list, a master list of every person who has been through SEAL training and become a Navy SEAL. Guess who's not on the list? That's right. Randy Cramer was never in the United States Navy. He was never in the SEAL program. He was never a United States Navy SEAL. Further, both myself and other researchers have checked, and he was never in the United States Marines. Not before, not in the past, and not now. Though he claims that he's still in the United States Marine Corps. And they authorize him to talk about these secret space programs. No, they don't, you lying sack of crap. Why don't you get a job, bro? Why don't you get a real job and stop scamming people with your fake superpowers and your fake military background? You weren't a Navy SEAL. You weren't a Marine. Anybody can check that. So who falls for this guy's phony stories? People so dumb, they don't realize that anybody can call or write both the Navy and the Marines and check if he's telling the truth. And if you do bother to call or write them and check, you find out that he's a fraud and a liar. And if his whole story begins with, I'm a United States Marine, and that's a lie, and then his story continues with, I was a United States Navy SEAL and I fought Colombian drug lords, and then you find out that's fake, why should you believe the rest of his fantastical, stupid claims about battling insectoid aliens on Mars? I don't understand. Look, I get it. I love stories about aliens. I love them. It's like a bad, guilty pleasure of mine. I love stories about aliens, right? But I don't want to hear somebody claiming that the story is true if it's a fraud, fake, made up garbage story. And that's what we have here. Randy Cramer is he's as bad as Corey Good. They're the garbage men of UFO and alien stories because what they offer people has no value. It's garbage and fake. But back to Ryan and the Experiencer Support Network. We've cited fair use. This is a transformative work. We are going to critique this video that is being shared. Ugh. One second, friends. Well, this turns out to be a bad idea. I have two tabs open, both time-stamped. Let's hope we get the right one first. Let's get into it, friends. Look, we're going to find out what happens. Look how pissed off. Listen to how pissed off this guy gets when I just ask him to prove that he's not lying about his military background. I believe this is the proper timestamp, so that's good. All right, we got the first one here, and this is Ryan Stacy's Disclosure Support Network from Disclosure Support Network's show, Beyond the Tinfoil Hat. And I forgot to do it, but I will put a link to this video in our video description so you can watch this whole thing. Because this guy, the mental gymnastics that this guy has to perform to try to convince people that he's a space astronaut is laughable. It's comical. Get some popcorn, right? And listen to this clown.
There. Insects are here.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. In this interview, Randy Cramer claims that an alien invasion by insectoid aliens is imminent.
What happens after?
Well, good question. I will say that all of these situations are fluid. But whatever happens is based on what happens in the moment, not just based what's on paper. But when we're talking about this on paper, that means you've got maybe 1.5, maybe 2.5 years of war, and then we have some friendly species come along and help us eject the invading species, and then we're done.
So like the second, like the first and second.
Oh no, an alien invasion is imminent.
There's a challenging question here. I don't know if
I got RFID dog tags behind my left and right ear. I have had communication with senior military.
Let me read the question for the podcast.
Fuck that little piece of shit and his fucking attacking my person as a challenge me as a military officer. It is a felony to lie about being a military officer in this country. We do not have a sense of humor about that shit. I've been doing this for 10 years, and if I were a fraud, the FBI would have come after me years ago. So anyone who thinks at this point that I am not legitimate or that I do not have proof, have not looked at the dog tags behind my ears, have not talked to the people in senior positions who have thanked me, shook my hand and thanked me, including former Minister of Defense Paul Hellyer, when I met him at MUFON, shook my hand and said, thank you for your work and your service.
Yeah, Paul, that guy was a nutter and believed every alien story that he read. If it was in a book, he believed it. He believed The Day After Roswell. He believed William Tompkins' stories. He believes everybody. And I just want to mention that the United States military does not put RFID chips in the form of dog tags behind people's ears. That is a fantastical, stupid invention of his. And by the way, idiot Randy Cramer, first of all, why'd you have to curse at me? I just asked a respectful question. right? You got to curse at me and get all pissed off. Only somebody that's a liar, that's being called on their lie, would get upset like that, right? If you're going to make fantastical claims like you're a space hero, right? And here we go. Here's another Buck frickin' Rogers, right? He's saving Earth from insectoid aliens on Mars, right? And again, we get this argument time and time again. This stupid clown claims there's all these bases all over Mars, human colonies, right? But no amateur astronomer, no professional astronomer, nobody from NASA, nobody from Russia with their space program, nobody could see all of those Mars colonies on the surface of Mars. The orbiters that are right now going around the surface of Mars don't see all those human colonies, those human colonies that he was saving from insectoid aliens on Mars. And again, if he really had some RFID chips implanted behind his ears, there's readers for that. We could test you, Randy. You want to be tested? We'll see if there's actually RFID chips behind your ears.
When that motherfucker's had a cabinet official shake his hand, then he can criticize me and tell
anybody that goes to a UFO conference while that guy was alive could meet him and shake his hand. That's not proof of your military service, you fraud.
Him, everyone else like him can shut the fuck up and stick a dick back in their mouth. I'm fucking tired of it.
No, I appreciate.
By the way, I apologize for the language. I should have downloaded this video and bleeped it. I apologize. And I apologize to almighty AI algorithm gods.
What you're saying. I'm just going to read the question for the podcast. Well, actually, you know what? The podcast people listening, I think you can get the point of the question. Okay, so thanks. We'll get on to the next one.
Why does a super soldier need Gatorade? He's genetically engineered to be the world's perfect super soldier. Why does he need Gatorade? Just asking. I mean, that's a valid question. He's just sitting there, right? And by the way, Randy Cramer is like 30 or 40 pounds overweight. We're going to see a funny clip from another show where they make fun of him. He said he was genetically engineered to be the perfect soldier, and he's a big fat guy. Awesome. Awesome. Why are all these super soldiers that are genetically engineered to be perfect soldiers always fat and out of shape?
So, I mean...
And by the way, it's Captain Randy Cramer. That's who he claims. His rank is captain. And he claims to be a super soldier, like Captain America. So I don't think the choice of captain as a rank is a coincidence. He's trying to be Captain America here.
And those are challenging too. Like, I mean, why? Let's talk about that. Like, I understand your emotion. I understand your defense.
Oh, I'm just sick and tired of it.
I know, I get it. But you don't.
All he has to do is show us his military records and people will stop asking him the question. But he can't show us any military records because the military records that he is in the military don't exist because he is a pathological lying scumball that preys on stupid people.
Because it only comes from this tiny, tiny number of people. I get very few bits of hate mail. I get very few complaints, very few people attacking me on that. And the truth is,
well, you're not the
fucking suck a dick.
Oh yeah, they're troll. We're trolls because we want him to prove his claims, right? You're the idiot out there on the internet making up fantastical stories about your space adventures, you stupid clown.
Okay, let's just hold on. Let's just break it down. I get where I get it. And if somebody were to do that to me, I would get explosive about it too. And
I'll tell you what, any of those motherfuckers want to come to me in person at a conference and challenge me, they'll get a bloody fucking nose. I'll pop them right in the face.
Now he's threatened me with violence. He's threatened me with violence because I asked to see his military records. Is the level of defensiveness here look like somebody that's truthful or look like somebody that's a lying, pathological lying con artist, fraud, scumball? Why do you got to threaten somebody with violence? Why can't you just show your military records? Again, he can't because they don't exist.
If they say that to my face.
Yeah, I remember.
I'll say it to your face. And by the way, I challenged Randy Cramer, who's supposed to be a genetically engineered perfect super soldier, to a boxing match. And I said I would pay for the ring expenses, the referee. I would give him an allowance for boxing equipment. I'll pay for his boxing gloves, whatever he wants to do, right? And then he can get in a ring with me and show me what a genetically perfect super soldier he is. Friends, I would knock his teeth out in a boxing match. I would knock this clown's teeth out in a boxing match. I would knock him out in 4 rounds or less. And if people don't believe that, you don't know me too well. I grew up on the mean streets of Philadelphia, and that's all I'm going to say. This guy claims to be a genetically engineered perfect super soldier, but he won't get in a boxing ring with me. But he's going to sit here on a podcast claiming that he's going to give me a bloody nose. He's going to beat me up at a conference because I dared to ask, why is he lying about being in the Marines? He won't get in a boxing ring with me and prove his superpowers. He's a genetically engineered perfect super soldier, but he's 30, 40 pounds overweight. He won't get in a boxing ring with me. Wouldn't that be? And people have attacked me for making that challenge, right? Because, he doesn't claim to have, physical superpowers. He claims to have psionic mental superpowers. Well, he can move things with his mind. Couldn't he knock me out with his mind? Couldn't he, I don't know, do something with his psionic powers? And if he's a genetically engineered perfect Marine, he should be able to beat a slob like me in a boxing match. But he won't get in a ring with me and prove his genetic superiority because he's a fraud. All right, we're going to stop sharing this one. And then we're going to go and share the next portion of that interview where he claims that he's teaching people to have superpowers. That's right. For just $333, he could teach you to remote view, meditate, and move things with your mind. That's right. Randy Cramer claims not only can he move things with his mind, that's called telekinesis, but for $333, he can teach you to do it too. Let's first we'll share his website. Look at this. Psionic superpowers. I love it. Look at this. Look at this. And he's using stolen artwork to advertise his course. Somebody said that this is from Dungeons and Dragons handbooks. I'm not sure if that's the case, but it sure looks like Dungeons and Dragons artwork from some of the Dungeons and Dragons books I remember. So this guy is such a fraud. He's a fake Marine. He's a fake Navy SEAL. He's a fake astro-NOT. You got to capitalize the N-O-T. Astro in small letters, not in big letters, N-O-T. But he's also such a fraud that he's stealing artwork in order to sell a course on psionics. Level 1, Module 1, what is psionics? Psionics operating systems. Module 2, the brain, bridging the consciousness gaps. Module 3, the mind and brain waves. Module 4, meditation, breathing, and visualization. And by the way, if you want to learn to meditate, there are societies out there all over the world which will mail you all the books on meditation you want for free. You just pay shipping. Look into them. Look up Buddhist books on meditation. And you'll find that all over the world, there's these organizations that want to encourage people to learn to meditate. They'll give you all the books for free. You don't have to pay a fake fraud super soldier that was never in the Marines and was never in the Navy or a SEAL $333 to learn to meditate. You can learn to meditate for absolutely free. All right, level 1, mastery modules. What is psionics? The brain. Okay, we've been over that. Choose a pricing option. Psionics, level 1. Now remember, there's 4 levels to this. So it's $333 per level for each of the courses that he offers. He offers 4 courses. Each of them are $333 to learn this garbage that he claims he's going to teach you, right? Oh, and look, he's got a payment plan, just like David Wilcock. Don't worry if you don't have the $333, because he'll take 2 payments of $166.50 a month, right? And remember, this is just level 1. There's 4 levels of classes. Look at that, $333. So you too can pay some clown, fake Marine, fake Navy SEAL, fake astronaut $333 to teach you psionics and how to move things with your mind and have superpowers. And there's nothing scammy about this at all, right? No, there's nothing scammy about this. Now, let's see what happens when we challenge him to show us his superpowers. If he's taking money from people claiming that he can teach you how to move objects with your mind, shouldn't he be able to display his mastery of that psionic ability? Shouldn't he be able to show us him moving objects with his mind? This is exactly like Sarah R. Adams. Sarah R. Adams, for those that don't know, is another fake psychic con artist scammer who claims that she could teach you how to open stargates, but she won't show us her opening a stargate. Same thing here. This clown won't show us him moving objects with his mind, but he's going to take people's $333 to teach them, and he claims that his students have been able to do it. Sure they have. Sure they have. Will he show us any of the students that can do it? Of course not, because they don't exist. I would imagine that most people that take his class are embarrassed that they got conned out of $333. I can't find a single person that took his course that will talk to me about it. Not a one. Not a single person. He claims that he's had hundreds of students that he's taught psionics and psychic superpowers to. Then why can't he show us one of his students? Show us one of his students moving things with their mind. It's because it's fake. That's why. It's because it's fake, friends. All right, so we're going to go back to Ryan's show, Beyond the Tinfoil Hat. And here's what happens. Oh, let me do that one more time. Make sure we get the audio. I always do that. Pardon me, friends. Yeah, we are sharing the audio. So here we are. All right, let's get into it. Let's see what happens when we in the live chat, while he's being interviewed, start challenging him to show us his own superpowers.
I'm super proud.
Good. What was I going to say? You kind of froze. Are you still there?
I'm here.
Oh, you're still there. So, I mean, let's. So that's great, because like we want to develop this psychic ability or psychogenic phenomenon as well. If we have the ability to do it, why not spend some time with a teacher that understands it to hone those skills or sharpen those skills?
And I don't teach my students anything that I can't do or replicate myself, or that I haven't done myself. So I'm not teaching my students a theory that I don't know how to apply. I am teaching
telekinesis
my students how to do things. Yeah.
Is what? Moving objects, right? With your mind?
Yeah, moving objects with your mind. Moving objects with your mind powers.
How easy is it for you to do that? If I were to tell, like, I'm not trying to turn you into a show pony, but like, could you move something right now? Or?
I don't demonstrate to anybody what my own abilities are, because I don't want people to know what my level of ability is.
Isn't that convenient? So we were in the live chat telling Ryan to ask him to move something with his mind and prove his superpowers. To his credit, Ryan did ask the question. And what do we get? Excuses. Oh, I don't show anybody my psionic superpowers. Yeah, I don't show anybody my psionic superpowers. So what we have here is a fake Marine who can't prove he was in the Marines, a fake Navy SEAL who can't prove he was ever in the Navy or a SEAL, a fake astronaut who with fake superpowers saying he doesn't have to prove his fake superpowers. So these things adding up yet? He can't prove he was a Marine. He can't prove he was a Navy SEAL. He can't prove he was a space astro-NOT. Now he can't prove his superpowers. Well, he could prove his superpowers right here. After all, he said he could do it. He said he can move objects with his mind. When pressed, he makes excuses.
And there's no point in me showing you on a trainer, because people can see a trainer can look like a magic trick or something. People can choose to not believe that. I really don't give a fuck what people believe. Again, I'm teaching my students how to do it. They're doing it and replicating it. That's all that matters.
Yeah, let's see one of your students moving things with their mind. You fraud, you clown. He won't show us a student that could do it. He won't show us that he could do it. And he won't show us a student that could do it. Do you know why? Because you can't move objects with your mind.
I don't have to show or teach anybody. I don't have to show anybody what my ability or capability is.
Yeah,
But
no,
I
it's
show
like
my-
I compare that
demonstrate-
to.
But I demonstrate to my students. I show my students because I'm teaching them. I
Mhm.
show them how to do it on the trainer and get them to replicate the technique.
Yeah. So if you give him $333, then he'll show you how to do it. And by the way, I've seen the trainer that he uses, and it is a magic trick. He's using something like a cork with a sewing needle placed on the top of the cork, and then you put a glass over top of the cork and the sewing needle. And then he claims he's moving the sewing needle. Do you know how he does that? It's called a magnet. That's how he does it. Exactly how he proves to his students he does it is a magic trick. Notice he mentioned magic tricks.
So
I'm somewhat familiar with that trick.
You know, and I appreciate that line of thinking, because a lot of people do come to mind like, oh, well, you make these claims and it's protected by this paywall, or you have to buy it to see it, and blah, 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 it doesn't exist, all these things. So the easy way to compare that to me on a normal level is I have a martial arts instructor. I have a sensei. I have a teacher who teaches me martial arts. He's six Dan, six Dan black belt. All right. Like I'm not going to walk up to him and say, prove to me that you're a six Dan black belt.
This is a stupid argument. I'm sorry, Ryan, but you're giving him an out here. Somebody that teaches martial arts can show you videotapes of themselves doing martial arts forms, advanced kicks, and techniques that only a master at martial arts would be able to perform. He could show you his skill level. And most martial artists that I know will do so if you ask them to show them. Or they could show you their certifications, proving that they went through the appropriate martial arts courses and attained the mastery level that they're claiming as a teacher. Look at Randy Cramer with a stupid smile on his face. Oh, thank you, Ryan, for giving me an out for not showing anybody my superpowers here live on air, even though I say that I can move things with my mind.
Because there's a plethora of moves that he could do to make me scream and cry and do a lot of pain. But by him teaching me at level 1 and level 2 and all that other stuff, I trust him and I learn and we grow together because he's always learning. So we don't, for those who think that just, like the teaching element, especially us who's going to get in, I'm going to be getting into teaching you guys how to investigate the phenomenon, all phenomenon as well. I'm going to have to dumb it down too, because sometimes it's hard for some people. But if the people can get it at that low level, then everything else becomes easier, and then everything else evolves and it helps. And the money aspect, you got to look into the fact that this is time. Like if somebody, I would much rather pay to be taught by someone that may or know something than to read it in a book and without proper guidance. Because you can get these resources elsewhere for free.
Yeah. Did you notice he said that? You can get these resources elsewhere for free. Everything that this clown is teaching people is available for free on the internet. But you're supposed to give some clown that's pretending to be a Marine, a Navy SEAL, and a space astronaut $333 so he can teach you to do it, even though he can't display his ability to do it until you pay.
But you don't get a teacher. You don't get, so like there's that's another part I just want to kind of throw in there too. With part of the mix is a lot of people are thinking, oh, free energy, free money, free this, free that, everything should be free. But we do have to pay for some things. But then there's some people who can't afford it and all this other blah, blah, blah. But I just kind of wanted to get into the whole having to pay for a service isn't bad.
If the service has value, what value does a course being taught by a fake Marine, a fake Navy SEAL, and a fake space astronaut have? That's his convincing proof that you should trust him. Why should we trust a guy who's been lying about military service for 6 years to teach us anything? All he's qualified to do is teach people to be a fake space astronaut fraud. He's not qualified to teach anybody anything based on his fraudulent background and fraudulent claims of military service.
If you understand that the person is spending time and resources in teaching you how to do something, and if you have the results for it, then that's what you're paying for. If you're paying to jump to the end to see the end of the book, just wait for the movie to come out and watch it. There's that element. So I'm just covering some of the comments that haven't been shared, but I'm just doing a general round thing to talk about the generalization. So I appreciate the course that you did. I guess the remote viewing. So is that level 2, or what level would that be?
Oh no,
And that was a teaser.
level 4. Level 4 is the psionic skills. Everything else is
Okay.
learning basics, development, meditation, psionic self-defense, field programming. Level 4 is when I'm actually teach the skills that we've done all the groundwork so that you can
Right. So the one that I sat in on, I'm just trying to compare that. Is that part of that curriculum, or is that something else? It was a demonstration for your course.
That was me crunching a bunch of information into a very
Into
short
4
period of
hours.
time, hoping
Yeah.
hoping that I was communicating it enough to the audience in the room so that they could replicate the technique that I wanted to teach them in that amount of time.
But he can't show us anybody that can replicate any of the techniques that he claims that he's qualified to teach. Great. So when pressed to prove his superpowers on a live broadcast, he made excuses. Then he starts explaining the value of his course. And I got to say, Ryan, if you believe that he has superpowers, I feel sorry for Ryan. And I get that Ryan's an experiencer and he wants to believe people that have these experiences are telling him the truth. But I don't think he's very objective. But we do thank him for having the courage to let us answer questions. You know, some other show hosts, when they have this clown on, will mute anybody in the live chat asking challenging questions. To his credit, Ryan let us ask the questions and asked him these questions. And we see the way that Mr. Randy the Fraud Cramer responded to questions. He started cursing, getting pissed off, yelling, threatening me, the person asking the question, with physical violence. Does that sound like somebody that's telling the truth? I don't think so. No, I don't think so. So where are we at now? Well, we're going to take a trip down memory lane, and we're going to share from a blog, a very good blog by Richard K. Kole Jr. For those who don't know, Richard K. Kole Jr. has a blog that majorly busts fraud Douglas Dietrich, but he did do an extensive investigation starting July 24th, 2020 into Randy Cramer and the GoFundMe fraud. Let's get into the fraud. For those unaware, Randy Cramer started a GoFundMe claiming that he was going to build med beds. That's right. We're back to the med bed scam. These new age con artists, grifters, scammers, slime balls love the med bed scam. We've got multiple people running around in conspiracy land now running med bed scams. Let's see. There's Simon Parks running med bed scams. We've got Sarah R. Adams and her partners running new age med bed scams. And in Sarah's, she claims they're going to take you up to a Stargate, up to a spaceship to meet the extraterrestrials, and then you'll have a med bed session and heal anything that ails you. It is the new age modern equivalent of snake oil. Are you missing a limb? All you got to do is have a med bed and you can regrow your limb. Are you dying of terminal cancer? Just lay in this med bed and we'll cure you. Would you like to be age regressed 20 years? Just lie in this med bed that we're developing and you'll be age regressed 20 years or however many years you want. You could be young and healthy again. Folks, that old saying, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. And Randy, the fraud Kramer, claims that he was in a med bed because some insectoid aliens blew off his leg and the med bed regrew his whole leg. Sure it did. But let's get into it. I'm going to share my screen here. I have put a link to this blog with this excellent investigation into the fraud Randy Cramer. It's in the about section of our video here. So if you want to follow along, I encourage you to do so. It's a very long blog post and it's very, very detailed. We're going to skirt over it. We're going to, just glaze over. We'll hit you with the highlights tonight. Otherwise, we're going to be here for 5 hours because Richard K. Kole, I love this guy because he is incredibly thorough. All right, let's get into it. Randy A. Cramer exposed the GoFundMe fraud. investigation, Randy Allen Cramer has claimed to be an active duty U.S. Marine officer. This is a continuation of my own prior research dating back to 2018. Note, this is an ongoing investigation involving other sources. Randy Allen Cramer claims he is an active duty U.S. Marine Corps captain authorized by Headquarters, United States Marine Corps Command Staff, to inform the public of details of an unacknowledged special access program, United States Marine Corps Special Section. He claims he has been upgraded in his security clearance in order to access classified intelligence files regarding a secret space program involving, among others, the United States Marine Corps. It should be noted that Richard K. Kole, we see a picture of him here in military uniform. Richard K. Kole is a real United States Marine veteran. So I find it somewhat ironic and just, I love it. I love it. Richard K. Kole is a real United States Marine. And he's going to tell us why Randy Cramer is a complete and total fraud. So who are we going to trust? Because I can go to the National Records Center and I could get the military records of Richard K. Kole Jr. that proves that he was a military officer, right? He was an actual real Marine. But when we go looking up the same information for Randy Cramer, we come up empty. No records exist of Randy Cramer ever having been a Marine. So who are we going to trust? A real Marine that's telling us this guy's a fraud and a fake and not a real Marine, or the fake space astronaut? I'll trust a real Marine. Kramer's claim that his service in the United States Marine Corps is classified, as well as the existence of the United States Marine Corps Special Section Unacknowledged Special Access Program, is absolutely untrue. Kramer also claimed to serve in the United States Navy as a SEAL. The U.S. Department of Defense, and in his case, the Department of the Navy, does not classify basic information regarding a person's service record. Such information is considered a matter of public record, and information such as dates of service, rank, education, awards, duty assignments, and discharge are releasable information under the Freedom of Information Act. Unlike some crowdfunding sources which require a goal to be met before any donations can be accessed, GoFundMe allows immediate use of funds to the beneficiary of the campaign. Kramer is clearly listed as both the campaigner and the beneficiary. Now, this is an interesting little tidbit. According to Captain Kramer, the United States Marine Corps Special Section is a covert, unacknowledged special access program, or USAP, signed into law as the legal and covert branch of the U.S. military in 1953 by President Dwight Eisenhower. United States Marine Corps SS was mandated by President Eisenhower through the USMC as special code to meet the exopolitical questions of EBEs, extraterrestrial biological entities. Sure. Now, here onto the tidbit that is great. Randy Cramer has mentioned several people's names while he's doing conference appearances, podcasts, being a guest on Gaia TV, as we've seen earlier. He mentioned a Brigadier General Smith. And here we go. If you check, I have not found any record of a General Julian Smith anywhere. What I did find was a Lieutenant General Julian C. Smith, who died in 1975. So Randy Cramer brags that he's on a first-name basis with Brigadier General Julian Smythe, and that person doesn't exist. So his offer of proof that he's really a Marine is that he's on a first-name basis, right, with a Brigadier General. Except that Brigadier General doesn't exist. The closest we can find is a guy who died in 1975. By the way, Randy Cramer was born in 1970. So that would mean that guy was 5 years old when that general died. Oh, it's great. And Richard here goes on to talk about some of the projects that Randy Cramer mentioned. Project Mannequin and Project Moonshadow, aka Operation Moonshadow. And it's important to note that James Casbolt is the originator of the projects that Randy Cramer talks about. So Randy Cramer is so unoriginal, he stole his fake stories from another fake super soldier. You may remember that James Casbolt is the super soldier that has lasers that pop up out of his forearms That's what kind of bionic super soldier James Casbolt is. So what we have here is one fake fraud super soldier telling stories and another fake fraud super soldier lifting the project names from that fake super soldier, right? And some stupid people take that as corroboration or proof. Oh, you were a member of Project Mannequin? So is James Casbolt. You know, the guy with the lasers that pop up out of his forearms? Pew, 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 pew. The guy, James Casbolt, claimed to have laser guns that would pop out of his forearms in the heat of battle. Oh, God, I love these nutters. All right. Project Moonshadow appears to be an invention of Randy Cramer, however. So he did invent one of the project names, but he stole some of the other project names. Here's from Randy Cramer. I was manufactured into the program as property of the United States Marine Corps Special Section as part of the Augmented Soldier Program, the Super Soldier Program, you know, just like Captain America, under the larger umbrella of a global program called Project Mannequin, and the implanted in my biological mother's womb to be raised by her and my biological father. So Project Moonshadow was my childhood program. There were 300 of us in the original program, about an 80-20 split of boys and girls. It was U.S. Marine Corps Special Section cooperative program with the bronze ones. In 1987, after a 17-year training program, I was officially transferred to the United States Marine Corps Special Section General Service Pool. That pool of about 10,000 personnel was parceled off, sent to Lunar Operations Command. Where have we heard that before? Lunar Operations Command. Oh, Corey Good. These lying fraud hucksters are so unoriginal, they all just rip off each other's terms, right? And we've been over this. There's no bases on the moon. There are orbiters from China, I believe India, Russia, and the United States. That's all they do. They're satellites. They orbit the moon and take pictures. And every inch of the topography of the moon is available on NASA.gov website. There's no moon base. There's no Lunar Operations Command, Randy Cramer, you fraud. And only stupid people who don't know that every inch of the moon has been imaged already would believe you about being sent to a moon base. He was sent to Mars to contract with the MDF, the Mars Defense Force, for the defense of Martian settlements. Again, there are Mars orbiters that can show us every inch of the Mars surface. If there was colonies on Mars, we would know about it. Somebody would spill the beans. Even an amateur astronomer with a decent telescope would be able to find human settlements on the surface of Mars. Randy Cramer, you liar. All right, so let's get to the GoFundMe HoloBeds research campaign fraud. GoFundMe states that Randy Cramer is an active duty U.S. Marine Corps captain and 20-year veteran. This is very important because you're not allowed to lie in the text body of a GoFundMe. Kramer never served in the United States Marine Corps or any other branch. You cannot be an active duty Marine officer and not comply with required standards. The campaign states that Randy Cramer is officially sanctioned by the United States Marine Corps Command Staff Brigadier General Julian Smith and the Commandant of the Marine Corps, General Robert B. Sure. But if you call the United States Marine Corps and ask them about this guy being a spokesperson for them, like I said, after they stop laughing when you tell them that the guy's a space Marine and fights insectoid aliens on Mars, they'll tell you if you can't verify his military service, he can't be a spokesperson for us. He's not a Marine. And again, importantly, for the purposes of the GoFundMe campaign, this is important. You can't lie in the text body of a GoFundMe, or they take it down. Okay. Headquarters, United States Marine Corps, Quantico, Virginia, has denied Randy Cramer was a U.S. Marine or that they are officially sanctioning him in any way. They also deny the existence of a United States Marine Corps Special Section, USAP. The campaign states that donations are for the research and development of HoloBeds with a goal of $70 million or $70,000 and projects a minimum cost of, $20 million. Randy Cramer is organizing this fundraiser on behalf of Randy Cramer. Great. And here he lists himself as Captain Randy Cramer, United States Marine Corps, SSMDF, 20-year Marine veteran, super soldier, and space pilot. First of all, he can't prove that he's in the United States Marine Corps. And then he can't prove that he's a 20-year Marine veteran, so that's a lie in the GoFundMe. He can't prove he's a super soldier, and he can't prove he's a space pilot. Yes, so he says this 70,000 goal will help bridge the gap. Once Captain Randy Cramer has these funds, his mission, sanctioned by a brigadier general, is to bring together large investors to employ full-time medical engineers, computer software engineers, security services, and other personnel, an A-team of professionals to develop the first prototypes. Holographic regenerating med beds fraud report. Oh no. So I believe Richard Cole reported him for being a fake Marine and lying in the GoFundMe text body. They got back to him and said, thank you for bringing this to our attention. Our trust and safety team will be investigating the campaign and taking the appropriate action. If you donated to this campaign or have received some or all the money raised, please fill out the appropriate GoFundMe guaranteed claim form. If you know of donors or individuals should have received funds from this campaign, please ask them to submit claims or contact our team directly. Yeah. So then the campaign, once GoFundMe investigated, GoFundMe agreed that this man was never a United States Marine Corps. He was not a veteran. He's not a super soldier. He's not sanctioned by the Marines. You can't lie in a text body of a GoFundMe. This right here, friends, is consumer fraud. Pure, plain, and simple consumer fraud. He's lying in the text body of the GoFundMe in order to generate money. But it gets better. So here we see Richard with those FOIA request forms looking for the records of Randy Cramer. And of course, no record of service in another branch was found. No record of United States Marine Corps discharge prior to 1998 was found. Randy claims both end of active service in 2007 and also that he is still serving on active duty assigned as a public relations officer, independent field commander. And by the way, we reached out to the Public Relations Office of the United States Marine Corps, told them about this. And again, when the person I talked to on the phone stopped laughing, they looked up Randy Cramer. And again, they didn't find any record of a Randy Cramer working in public relations for the United States Marine Corps. Do you know why? Because he's not a Marine. He's a fraud. All right. The Defense Manpower Data Center FOIA status report shows that Randy Allen Cramer was not a U.S. Marine on active duty status as of May 25th, 2005. Randy Cramer claims U.S. Marine Corps service from 1987 to 2007. Note, I chose a random date of May 25th, 2005. I can request the information in minutes using any date from 87 to 2000 to 2007. And again, we've checked on these, and the research of Richard is very, very good. Yeah, and then he cites Alfred Mond Weber, who's not he does admit he's not a reliable source, but the article is interesting. Why manufacture a story about refuting Cramer's claims of military service using questionable evidence? There is not a United States Marine Corps base located at Los Lunas, New Mexico. Ken Johnson is known as a source of misinformation. Albert Mont Weber, got involved in this. Then we have NASA astronaut Ken Johnston Sr., who's also a United States Marine Corps veteran, officially inquired of the responsible U.S. Marine Corps Command Staff Sergeant Nelson and Staff Sergeant Cartwright at Los Lunas. This is by Alfred Lambermont Weber, and this is all garbage. They used fake information to say that Randy Cramer was not actually a Marine Corps. And you may be familiar with Alfred Lambermont Weber, who talks to many super soldiers, so this may be just a competition thing. Yeah, so that's the part about this. Now, 2 years into a GoFundMe donation scam, which began in February 2017 with a goal of $70,000 and yielded $6,435, the amount shown July 24th was nearly $10,000. The page has been removed pending an investigation by GoFundMe Trust and Safety Team. Pardon me. Here's from the text body of the GoFundMe scam. As you probably already know, Captain Randy Cramer has firsthand knowledge of these beds, as he has several of his own body parts blown off and regenerated in the med beds during his service as a super soldier and space pilot in the U.S. Marine Special Section and Mars Defense Force within the Radiant Guardian Fleet. In March, Kramer claims in this video that it will take $20 million to pursue the project, right? Kramer claims that his experience, coupled with 20 years of experience from very hands-on military career, makes me one of the most knowledgeable United States Marine Corps officers, and as yet, the only one who has been given direct authority through his chain of command to make that knowledge available to the public and civilian. What a bunch of bull. Then he recovered some more memories. You know, these clowns, when they need more fake stories to sell. Kramer claims that after 3 years, he still could not verify his own service or obtain a record of it. He has since claimed he is working with his congressman to sue the United States Marine Corps for not paying him during his 20 years of active duty service. Kramer recently claimed it is 30 years, not 20 years, as he previously claimed. And here's the article in which he claimed to be a Navy SEAL. Kramer emotionally and extensively describes being in the SEALs as being part of a covert operations in South America, combating cocaine cartels. There is no reference to Mars. In fact, he calls himself a failed super warrior. There is just this passing reference to time travel. My gosh. But it gets better, because there's a woman in Australia who donated $63,500 US, right? And she says here, I'm out $63,500 so far, 4 years and no movement on this historic project. But this project is bigger than the $63,500. The GoFundMe page has another $8,400. And then we have more people claiming, look, here's somebody else. I've personally invested $50,000 towards the first bits of research equipment, plus 13.5K, all expenses paid, 9-day, never. Somebody bought him for $13,500, all expenses paid, 9-day Netherlands vacation for Randy. All up $63,500. I haven't seen a cent in return. I haven't been given any reports on research equipment purchased yet. I started the GoFundMe page towards this mission. Now, here's another interesting tidbit. These are some traffic tickets, which you would think the traffic tickets aren't very relevant, but here's another traffic ticket. So there's 2 traffic tickets here. And note, here's where it gets good. All these traffic tickets occurred on planet Earth, while Kramer claims to have been on the moon and Mars. Clyde Lewis from Beyond the Edge of Reality calls Kramer a liar, tries to sell a crazy story to para folks as being credible. He says Randy Cramer is a fraud. I know firsthand his ex-wife and her mother have been swindled out of thousands of dollars. He has a GoFundMe account to raise money to make holographic bed. He uses this money to buy drugs and prostitutes. That's what you're donating to. There's no med beds, but there's an awful lot of drugs and prostitutes. That's what Randy Cramer spent the money on, according to Clyde Lewis, drugs and prostitutes. And according to his ex-wife and his ex-mother-in-law, Randy Cramer stole thousands of dollars from them. And what did he spend that money on? Drugs and prostitutes. Matt Deet says Captain Cookie Crisp is a whack job and looks and sounds like a dork. Pretty sure he has never been in the Marine Corps. His thin story doesn't help. This story is embarrassing. Ground Zero has zero credibility on his story. There are comments that make me laugh out loud. Paranormal folks are tired of pure nonsense being thrown or shoved down their throats. But what do we get? The perpetration of Kramer's fraud and endorsement by Dr. Michael Salla. For those of you not familiar, Dr. Michael Salla is an idiot and believes everybody. And he's always fluffing up these guys. He loves to fluff them. You know, he's their fluffer. What does Dr. Michael Salla do? He writes stories and articles and blog posts and makes videos pretending that these super space soldier clowns are real. Dr. Michael Salla believes Corey Good's story is true. He also believes that Randy Cramer's story is true. Dr. Michael Salla is an idiot. Just putting that out there. And this is a lengthy article. We have Kramer published a book titled Technology, Mind Control, and Free Will. Now, here's something weird. There was a guy who came out that looked just like him. Some people have said that it is his brother. And this is a guy named Carl Dory with an amazingly similar story. But interestingly, all of the appearances of this guy, Carl Dory, have disappeared from the internet. You can't find any of them. There are some behind a paywall, but we haven't. And we see here Joe from the Carolinas has covered this fraud. We see here former U.S. Marine. This is an article. Former U.S. Marine Corps member investigation and U.S. astronaut and Mars visitor. Written comment. Oh, this is again the Alfred Weber, which, I don't trust. And then we have this excellent video, which we're going to be sharing a portion of it. So that's majorly it. There is just an avalanche of evidence that Randy Cramer is a fraud, a liar, and is a con artist. Clive Lewis talked to this man's ex-wife, and the ex-wife said that all this time that he claims that he was on secret missions to the moon and Mars, he was a bartender. That's right. He was a bartender. His ex-wife also stated that Randy Cramer is a pathological liar that made all these stories up while he was a bartender to con people and make money so that he would have more money for drugs and prostitutes. If he's such a genetically enhanced, perfect super soldier, shouldn't he be able to get laid without paying for it? Who's got to pay for it? Losers got to pay for it. That's who has to pay for it. Randy Cramer is a loser that has to pay women to have sex with him. Great. All right, so we've got just a little bit more to share. We'll be through the presentation, and we're going to take a short break, and we're gonna share this last bit of things. So, and also, actually, before we share this last video snippet, I want to clarify something. Randy Cramer claims that it's a felony to pretend to be a military officer when you're not, and that if he was lying, the FBI would be beating down his door and arresting him. That's not true. I used to believe that was true because I was mistakenly informed once by a military person who was in error. He gave me factually inaccurate information. We looked into Charles Hall, another fake stolen valor fraud that was never in the Army, though he says he was. And I was told by a military person who was in the Army that it's a felony because of the Stolen Valor Act. It's a felony to pretend to be a military person and profit from it. If you do that, you could be arrested and face felony charges. That's not true. Today, I spoke with a JAG officer. For those who don't know, those are the people in the military. A JAG officer is basically a military lawyer who deal with military personnel and legal matters. That JAG officer was very kind and informed me that no, it is not a crime, believe it or not, to impersonate being a military service member. The Stolen Valor Act only applies to people pretending to have certain military awards, and we're going to see that here. Okay. And he directed me to this website, which is very helpful. So here we go. Isn't it always a crime to lie about military service? And this is shocking to me. In general, no. While it may be morally reprehensible, it is usually not a crime. However, the Stolen Valor Act of 2013 makes it a crime for someone to claim that they have received certain medals in order to obtain money, prosperity, or other tangible benefit. The law only bars false claims about certain military awards, including the Purple Heart, Bronze Star, and a few others, and only when someone makes a false claim about having them to gain money or some other tangible benefit. Only then is it a crime. Someone falsely claiming military service in order to brag or impress others is not a crime. So there we have it. Randy Cramer, if he was really a military man, he should know that. Then again, some people are misinformed. But my point is, when Randy Cramer sat there on that podcast, he lied through his teeth. He said, "Oh, it's a felony to impersonate a military officer. And if I was faking this, I would be arrested by the FBI and charged with a felony." No, you wouldn't. It's not a crime to pretend to be a Marine Corps officer or veteran. It's only a crime to pretend that you have like the Purple Heart or the Congressional Medal of Honor and profit from that. Personally, I think that it is consumer fraud for sure, him pretending to be a military officer, because he uses that to convince people that he's credible. When, of course, he's not credible at all, friends. He's a complete and total fraud. All right, so we've got one last thing to share with you for the presentation tonight. And by the way, I want to thank Spooky for the opening video. The opening video tonight was a montage from her Out of Context channel. Please subscribe to her channel. And I want to thank her for helping us with that video, because we like to add a little bit of production, right? A little bit of produced video really does help the live show a lot. All right. So this is the most popular video about fraud Randy Cramer on the internet. Oh, and one last thing I just wanted to share before we get to that. Okay. So Randy Cramer claims to be a secret space astronaut. He claims that he is sanctioned by the United States Marine Corps to disclose the truth about the secret space program and USAPs. And, you know, he's Earth's galactic savior, right? He's fought Draco reptilian aliens and insectoid aliens on Mars. He's Captain America. He's got superpowers. He is a big deal, right? He's a big deal, friends. Captain Randy Cramer is Earth's savior, okay? He teaches people superpowers. He was in the Marine Corps, right? He was a Navy SEAL. He was a space pilot. But here we go, friends. I just want to point this out. Look at this. The guy does an appearance, and his video of his interview has only gotten 579 views. Friends, we get more than 579 views on a replay episode of the Midnight Hour. We've been averaging 1,000 views. Now, I'm not trying to say that I'm more important than this guy, but if he was so important and he was really telling the truth, wouldn't more people be tuning in to hear what he has to say? Or is it that people know that this guy is a fraud? Now, I have to say, in that live chat, boy, were there some people. There were some people in that live chat ripping me a new one. Got to go to his class to see his superpowers, Truthseekers. Okay. I don't know, but there was a lot of nasty comments directed at me from some of the people. Oh, Lisa Savoy says, Randy is a great teacher, right? And here I say, no records of military service. Ex-wife says he's a pathological liar who made up the story for profit while he was a bartender. 0 records of military services. Gives fake generals names as his superior. But there was a lot of people. Oh, yeah, people told me, I said it was convenient that he couldn't show us his superpowers. And this guy Thomas in the live chat says, has nothing to do with convenience. It's simply above your pay grade. That same guy says, oh, and he told me that my age and IQ are the same number. Somebody said I was ignorant and don't believe experiencers. This Thomas guy says people have looked into the wrong places because anything that requires a security clearance above that of the president won't be seen by the debunker living in his mom's basement. Hey, Thomas, I own a $500,000 house. I don't live in my mom's basement, but thanks for, trying to, disparage me. So the reason nobody can find, according to this idiot, I'm sorry, he's an idiot. This guy is an idiot. Thomas, you're an idiot. According to this idiot, Thomas, the reason nobody can find Randy Cramer's military service records is because you need security clearance above that of the level of the president. Great. Oh, man. This is great. All right, so we saved the best for last. This is my favorite part of this whole Randy Cramer nightmare. We're going to, again, cite fair use. This is transformative work. We are educating the public about fake Marine, fake Navy SEAL, fake secret space astronaut Randy Cramer. And this is certainly covered under fair use. We'll be discussing the video that we're sharing, so I am citing fair use. This video is titled, Did Randy Cramer Fight Aliens on Mars for 17 Years? And this is from Derek Van Schelk, who runs a really good channel, actually. I checked out some of his other videos. I'm going to add this to the description of our video as well so that you can check it out in full. Let me make sure that I got the audio. We'll do that one more time. The bane of my existence is the share system audio button. You got to press it or it doesn't play. All right, now this person, Derek, made some very incredibly valid points here, and that's what I wanted to share. The points he made basically is that Randy Cramer is claiming that he was genetically engineered before genetic engineering existed, and also that he's a fat slob. Pretending he's a genetically superior human being that was designed to be the perfect soldier, but he's a big fat slob. Oh, I love it. All right. We're citing fair use. Let's get into it. And we have George Snorri interview from Gaia TV that he cited here.
But if you're not telling the truth, what are you getting out of this?
Money.
Not much.
Why are you only raising 70,000 for the holographic med beds? Wouldn't it be more in the millions to get such a technology going?
Yeah, the person who set up that for me was essentially attempting to raise some funds so that I could put more full-time work into that.
Yes, he says he's starting a company that's going to be building these holographic regeneration med beds.
Who have regrown fingers, teeth, a woman that had a hysterectomy that regrew a whole nother uterus.
And he has all this knowledge, he says, because he lived on Mars, and that's where all these holographic regeneration beds are, and also on the moon. There's always a stupid money trail for something like this, right? Listen to just how much money he's trying to raise here.
Not much.
My CFO right now for the research and development project is actually in a process to raise about 25 million for the first phase.
Not much.
Phase 2 is about another 25 million. Phase 3 is going to be somewhere between 150 and 200 million.
Not much.
There was a drawing board process in which, part of my mother's DNA and my father's DNA were laid out, and then they decided which parts they wanted to change. So my entire genetic code was, written in a laboratory before it was actually even created as a life form. So I was built from the ground up as a person.
Randy Cramer was born in 1970. That means, according to him, the U.S. government rebuilt his entire DNA structure and code in 1969. 1969. We landed on the moon in 1969. And you may be wondering when the human genome was actually mapped out and understood. But even if that's true, that maybe the government could, do something like that in 1969.
I wasn't a civilian. I was genetically engineered to be a Marine. So that was my job from before I was even born, really. I was never kidnapped or abducted or forced to do this against my will. I was genetically engineered from the get-go to do this job.
It just makes you look at Randy here and think, wait a second, would you say that this guy is the most perfect specimen of a human being that the government could come up with? It's this guy. I would be expecting someone like, Brad Pitt and Troy or something. It's just a little difficult to comprehend that this guy happens to be the most perfect human being that the government has ever created.
I wouldn't say that I was the first, but I would say that I was probably a more perfected version.
More perfected version.
Plenty of other people within the program that don't want me, talking publicly. And
he cuts himself off by taking a big
I'm sorry about that. Look, we almost got through a whole show without me doing that. So why are all these genetically engineered super soldiers big fat slobs? right? I've never seen one of them that was in good shape like a military man. They're always fat and bald and like way out of shape. That's why I challenged him to a boxing match. Look how fat he is. I could dance around the ring around that dude and knock him out in 4 rounds or less. I guarantee I could knock him out in 4 rounds or less. He won't get in the boxing ring with me and prove his genetic superiority, right? I got to say, I think we proved our point tonight. I think we proved that Randy Cramer is a fraud and a liar. And by the way, we added up. If we take all of the money from the GoFundMe, if we're to believe these people posting that they gave him $63,000, I believe that he raised over $120,000 by my count of money in this GoFundMe, right? So I wanted Ryan to ask him what happened to all the GoFundMe money. Ryan didn't get to that question, but Ryan and him are starting some kind of thing together, and I'm hopeful that Ryan from the Experiencer Support Network will ask him what happened to the $120,000 that he raised in the GoFundMe. What did he spend it on? Because there's no GoFundMe, or excuse me, the GoFundMe got taken down, and he's never explained what he did with all the money. So again, we have another con artist grifter that is performing absolutely, positively easy to prove consumer fraud. You can't tell people I'm a Marine and I'm going to build med beds if you give me money, and then collect $100,000+ and just spend it on whatever you want. That's a crime. It's consumer fraud. But that's where we're at. That's where we're at. And just a note to say, one thing I'm tired of is, why do I got to always be this guy? Do you know how many UFO circle jerk shows Randy Cramer has been on where nobody had the courage to ask him these hard questions, where nobody bothered? They just let him talk. Oh, come on and tell us about fighting aliens on Mars. We won't ask you to prove that you were really a Marine. We won't ask you to prove that you were really a United States Navy SEAL. We won't ask you to prove that you were ever really in space. We're just going to let you talk. Friends, this clown has been on a ton of shows. And listen, some of them, I give the guys a pass because he's been on some shows that don't normally deal with UFOs or aliens or whatever. And the show host doesn't know to Google and check that he's a fraud. So they don't know to ask those questions. But Randy Cramer has been on a whole lot of UFO circle jerkers shows. So what my wish for the world is that every idiot that helped him, because if you let this guy on your show to get publicity and to help him find new victims for his scams, you're a part of his scam. All those UFO circle jerk shows, all those alien circle jerk shows are part of the problem. And we're the solution. I love it when the UFO circle jerkers get nasty with me and say they have twice my views. Yeah, because you let people just come on your show and tell fake stories that have fake military backgrounds and lie to people. We don't do that here. So I have a handicap, right? I'm trying to win a marathon with 2 broken legs. Meanwhile, these other clowns, they could just let anybody on their show. Hey, let's have Kari Cassidy talking about her murderer source, the guy that was in prison for 35 years doing secret space missions while he was in prison. Let's have Randy Cramer, secret space fake astro-NOT, on our show. We can't do that here. We tell people the truth. All right, so we're going to get to, I missed a bunch of super chats here during the presentation. That's going to conclude our Oh, no, it's not going to. We have one more thing. I feel like Steve Jobs tonight. Oh, and one more thing. One other funny point to make, and we will conclude our presentation. This interview might change the world. Captain Randy Cramer. I'm just showing you this one because it's funny. Now, remember, Randy Cramer claims that he is an active duty United States Marine Corps member. He claims that he is a public relations officer with the United States Marine Corps. then I have a stupid question. If that's the case, why? Why on God's green earth, if he's a public relations officer for the United States Marine Corps, why on earth would he have to conduct interviews in his freaking car? He's doing interviews in his car on podcasts and live stream shows. Wouldn't he have an office at some Marine military base, right? Or maybe this guy's living in his mom's basement and he didn't want his mommy to hear him telling fake super soldier stories, right? Why does he have to do interviews in his car?
So question. So you hear about certain whistleblowers being, silenced. Why is it that you are able to give this information out to the public without anything, being
Yeah,
negatively?
Yeah, because I'm not a whistleblower. I am the public relations officer for the command staff of United States Marine Corps Special Section. I was asked by my superiors to do this job. They requested that I do this job. So I didn't go against anybody's authority or anybody's wishes to do this. I didn't say I'm going to go talk about it and someone says, no, don't go talk about it. Yeah, I'm going to do it anyway. Like that never happened. I was like, my brigadier came to me and said, do you want to go public with your story? And I said, hell no. No, I do not want to do that. That is absolutely not what I want to do. And then he convinced me and I was like,
Yeah, and right now he's talking about the brigadier general that he gave the name of that doesn't exist. People checked. That brigadier general does not exist, except in his imagination, because it's his brigadier general commanding officer imaginary friend.
all right, I'll do it. So yeah, I'm not a whistleblower. I've been requested by my superiors to do this. I have their blessing and their protection. So They keep me safe.
All right. And we can easily display that that is a factually inaccurate statement. That is a fraud. He's a fraud. The Marine Corps said he's not a public relations officer. He's not active duty Marines. He's a fraud. He's a fraud doing interviews for podcasts and live stream shows in his car. But that's where we're at, friends. That's where we're at. All right. Let's see about these super chats, right? Let's see about these super chats. And I apologize. I got to come up with a better system because if I stop the presentations to read the super chats, the presentations take way longer. But if I don't stop the presentations, I feel like, oh no, I missed the super chats, right? So I'm going through the live chat right now. Friends, please bear with me, and we are gonna find the super chats. It's like, boy, this thing scrolls back a long way. Luckily, they pop up big and bright with colors, so I can catch them. I want to try to put them on the screen and read them. Just a reminder, while I'm looking for the super chats, we read every single super chat here. What is a super chat? There's a money button down there in the live chat, and if you like to support our work exposing these frauds and all that we do here, please do give us a kind and generous donation, a super chat. We're a viewer-supported show, and you can send a PayPal donation if you don't like the super chats. The link to do that is in the description of this video. You can buy me a beer. The link to do that is in the description of the video, or you can join Patreon for as little as $1 a month. But now let's talk about the super chats. We have one for $10, a super sticker from Jean-Paul Fartray. Thank you very much for your kindness, your generosity, and your support of the show. Longtime supporter, Jean-Paul, good to see you here. You are most welcome here, friend, and I'm glad to see you here and supporting our show. Now, I know there was a few more. Oh, here we go. Aximus Rowe with a kind and generous $5 Australian. Says, great show, Cambers, with a thumbs up. Thank you for your kindness, your generosity, and your support. Annie Kurtz, continuing supporter of the show. Annie Kurtz with a kind and generous $4.99 super chat says, thank you. This is my favorite show and my favorite chat. Mine too. Imagine that. Thank you for your kindness, your generosity, and your continuing support of the show. Warms my heart, Miss Kurtz, to see you in there throwing a few bucks in my hat. Thank you. Lee Guy with a kind and generous $4.99 super chat says, I remote viewed Kramer's house. It smells of flatulence. Well, that would not surprise me. That would not surprise me at all. Not at all. Shout out, Walter Bosley is here from the Walter Bosley channel. And I have reached out to Mr. Bosley about being a guest next week because we've got some catching up to do and lots to talk about. I think that it may be all the super chats. I'm still scrolling, so bear with me, friends, as we get to the end of the super chats. And I'm going to check, though, just to make sure. I'm going to check in with my YouTube analytics because I hate to miss a super chat. We read every single super chat and thank everybody for their kindness, their generosity, and their support. Okay. No, we got all the super chats. So here's what we are going to do. I'm going to take a quick break. Mostly because I usually load up here with, plenty of things to drink. My throat has been a problem lately, recovering from some kind of terrible cold. But I'm happy to say that seems to be all dried out, and I'm feeling much better. Thanks for everybody's concern. I took several COVID tests during my illness, but all negative. But thanks everybody for their concern. We're gonna take a quick break here, and when we return, so we're gonna take a break for a few moments here so that I can get some liquid. And when we return, I will devote my full and total attention to the live chat, take comments and questions. For those unaware, I am somewhat visually impaired. I have a paralyzed eye, which is also the reason for the glasses, in case you've ever wondered and didn't know. And it really does help me. If your comment or question is directed at me, please take the time to put your comment or question that you want me to share on the show here, or question you want me to answer, in all capital letters. It really does help me, being visually impaired, to identify those things that are directed at me that people want me to share. Also, when we return, we will read any remaining super chats. So get them in now, friends, because we're going to be taking some time with the live chat, and then we are going to be wrapping things up here. So get those super chats in. We'll read every single one of them when I return. We'll be right back.
Every word pushes my it's time we cut these cords asunder. I think it's time we let the story end.
And we are back, friends, and good to be back with you. So now I'm going to dedicate and devote my full and total attention to the live chat. If you have comments or questions for me, please do put them in all capital letters. That really does help me identify that you want to share that with me. And another kind and generous $5 super chat from Aximus Rowe, who says, "For the music, Steve, always cool." For those who don't know, that the music that I share, a lot of it is from a band called The Dreaming, which is Christopher Hall from Stabbing Westward's band that he formed after Stabbing Westward. And at one time, Christopher Hall was a lot more accessible. And at one time, we were Facebook friends, and I told him, you know, I have this show, and I'd really like to use some of your music. There's versions of some of the Dreaming songs that are not copyrighted. And he told me, as long as they're not copyrighted, you can use any of the songs you want. Just, you know, mention us and, you know, credit us. So we certainly do that. Growing up, he was a huge idol of mine, him and Walter Flakus from Stabbing Westward. And I am still friends on Facebook and have talked to Walter Flakus, the keyboard player from Stabbing Westward and synthesizer guy, many times. He's another great guy, another hero of mine. And I'm happy to report that Christopher Hall and Walter Flakus and other members of the Stabbing Westward I think they just released a brand new Stabbing Westward album with the original producer that produced all their great albums. So I'm looking forward to that. And Christopher Hall is still making music with his band, The Dreaming, as well as Stabbing Westward. So good for them. Great to see them making music, childhood heroes of mine. And how awesome is it to get to know and talk to childhood heroes, right? And now Christopher, the singer, kind of disappeared from social media for various reasons. I'm told, I don't know. But I still speak with Walter Flakus occasionally, who also worked on many songs for The Dreaming for Christopher. Great to see those guys. Jeremy is here, says, "I love The Dreaming. I went and saw them play live at the Roxy in West Hollywood. I was trying to direct a music video for them, but it didn't happen." Hey, reach out to them again. They're very accessible. You know what I thought was great, Jeremy Walter, is Christopher was in Stabbing Westward playing huge stadiums, right? And then everything kind of fell apart. The band breaks up. What does he do? He buys a van, starts a new band, and gets right back on the road playing small venues, small clubs. I love the guy for that. He didn't miss a beat. He just said, "Well, we're not going to have our tour budget. We can't be flying private jets around to tour anymore, or huge, you know, bus RVs, you know, $300,000 buses to take us to and from shows." He bought a van. And they were literally, him and his band were like asking fans, "Can we sleep on your couch? Can we stay at your house while we're in your town playing shows?" Love the guy for that. Love him. If you want to talk to them about collaborating on a music video for The Breathing with an alien ET theme to the video, I don't know. I know that for the stuff that's not copyrighted, I bet you he wouldn't mind if you just took the audio and made your own video, but I don't know about their participation, right? Out of Mind says, "I really enjoy this camera because the screensaver action hypnotic." Yeah, and I'm working on doing another camera that will be pointed over there, Out of Mind, but I got to find another 50-inch television. I was joking. My wife won a 50-inch television a few months ago. It's down in our basement in a box, but she won't let me have it for the studio. So I'm sad because I thought I could get a 50-inch TV like super cheap, but nope, I can't. But I'm going to find a used one on Facebook Marketplace because I really would like, if we have one over here, if we could have a different one over here playing different animations and we could flip back and forth between them, right? Yeah. Wow. Jeremy Walter, please email me then. Email me at truthseekershow@gmail.com. You know, I have a new album coming out and I could really use some music videos and I could use some help. Truthseekershow@gmail.com. Or DM me on Twitter or PM me on Facebook. Get with me, bro. I would love to have some help making some music videos. A Fatal Papercut says that screen in the background is what level 4 psionics look like. Yeah, a little bit distracting to me, right? It's a little bit distracting, but I like it. I think it adds some production value to the show, right? Mike Gambelli says, good show, Steve. You should have started with your telekinesis tricks. You know what I'll do? I've got other webcams here and I've got a table over here. I will show you Randy Cramer's stupid telekinesis trick. I will show you how he does it. Absolutely. I'd be happy to. Yeah. So Xmas Rose says loves the Pumpkins. I guess I mean Smashing Pumpkins. Yeah, I grew up listening to them. I even covered that one song, the Rat in a Cage song. Yeah. Walt Corbin says, love his laugh. I saw you just followed me on Twitter, Walt Corbin, I think, right? Thank you for that. Thanks for the follow. People should know that the best way to know about the show, I'm sorry, also just a bit of show business. I should apologize for the lack of a schedule. I'm trying to do shows every night, but you know, like today, I wanted to do the show at 7 p.m., but my wife didn't get home from work until like 6:45, and I've got the kids right until she gets here, and so it's too much of a rush. I'm having trouble committing to a time. So the best way to know about shows is to follow me at Stephen Cambion on Twitter. And I want to take a moment to remind everyone, if you're listening in audio podcast land, you're missing half the fun. Go on over to YouTube. Put Truthseekers in the search bar. Look for me, the guy in the sunglasses. That would be Stephen Cambion. Me, the show host here. And smash that subscribe button. Hit that notification bell. You then will know when we're having a live show and live taping for the audio podcast. You can come over here and be a part of the live chat. Can we support the music and videos? Yeah, you could join Patreon. If you're talking about my music is on Patreon. I'm coming out with a new album that will include 20 songs, and I think 16 of them are already on Patreon, but they're rough mixed. So when I'm finished the final 4, then I got to go back and remix the whole album and master it. Yeah. Yes, that is Jeremy Walter, that is my email address, truthseekershow@gmail.com. Send me a message and we'll talk about it off air. Les Brewer asks, do you suspect that any of these fraudsters will ever face a class action lawsuit? Yeah, I'm not sure. I think that some of them are very dangerously close to criminal prosecution based on what I have seen lately. B. Baker asks, does Randy Cramer have a day job? Not that I'm aware of. These guys don't like day jobs. They con people so that they won't have to go to work every day. That appears to be how it runs, right? Off-World Adams, Stephen Who? Yeah, I guess that's a reference to that time the guest didn't know who Stephen Cambion was while I was interviewing her, right? Oh, no. Mike Gambali says, Randy is a public relations officer at the Parkway Rest Area. Sure. Yeah. Well, I mean, why not, right? Why not? 1 second. Got confused here. Too much going on, right? Yeah. Yeah. So, what can I say about Randy Cramer? He's been running around, making the rounds, ripping everybody off for a long time now. and it doesn't seem to be getting better. But what can you do? All we can do is try to inform the public so that they too don't get scammed by a scammer. And you know, I want to say, like, I'm a little disappointed in this Ryan person who's been a guest here, and I was a guest on his show, because even him platforming that guy is helping him find more victims. You know. StarFox85 says, out of mind, I like this show here, but please talk about people which have proof of what they are saying. Is there anyone? Yeah, and we've done shows on, listen, StarFox85, this, sometimes the shows here are the low-hanging fruit, because after all, it's easy for me to show you and prove to you why I don't believe certain things, or it's easy for me to tell you what I don't believe and show you why. It's very difficult for me to show you what I do believe and why. But we're trying to get some balance. It just seems to me that these shows exposing the frauds, first of all, get more views than the regular shows. You know, I'm going to do a show on Bigfoot. It'll get 500 views. These shows on the frauds get 1,500, 3,000 views sometimes. So and this has kind of become a niche market here, and this is what a lot of people are coming here for, StarFox85. But I do believe there are still credible people that you can believe, that you can listen to. And we're going to try to cover more of that, right? Mike Gambelli says, Ryan wants to join that club. Yeah, maybe. Out of Mind says, so far I have not found one, StarFox85, sadly. Yeah. Blick and Liar says, sorry, no one. Well, Corbin, cool cam shot. Yeah, this is our wide shot. I like it. And I went so far as, well, to buy a wall-mounted webcam stand just to get this shot right, because I didn't know that that's what you do. Video is not my thing. My thing has always been audio. Though I did, make music videos for a time. I had a blue screen before anybody even knew that you could do that on a computer. And I was doing that at, I believe it was 240p. So I was making like videos for bands to put on MySpace back in the day, right? Now the technology is so much better. I can't wait to give a try at making music videos again. B. Baker says, I bet that was his mom's van down by the river. Yeah, why does a guy who's supposed to be so important have to do interviews in his car, right? Ex-Annihilator, have you investigated Andrew Basago? No, I just don't find anything he says credible. I mean, he talks about being in some secret program with Barack Obama and time traveling, and his is another one of those stories. You can't prove his story is true, but you can't prove that he's lying either, because it's just a story, and I don't think these things have any value, right? Yes. Les Brewer, I agree with you, says that list of non-scammers is an awful small one. I absolutely agree with you, right? Amy Collins, the ones StarFox85 wants are in the minority. You can count the solid ones on your fingers. Yeah, I truly believe that. Yeah, Ex-Annihilator, you know, I don't know. You're right. He's very educated. Listen, this is what I can say about Andrew Bashago. And if you want, I'll put him on the list. But I want everybody to be aware, like, look at tonight's show. You know, I have to gather sources in order to properly cover one of these characters in Conspiracy Land. So, but I'll add Andrew Basago to the list. We'll do a show on him. But I don't think that will be a very good show, because it's like, I could tell you all the stories that he says, and I could tell you that there's no proof or evidence of any of his claims, and I could tell you I can't prove or disprove this stuff he's saying. So I think you reach an impasse with somebody like Andrew Bashago. But I will say that Andrew Bashago is a lawyer, and he is very well spoken and very intelligent, and he tells compelling stories that make you want to believe him. I want to believe him when I listen to him. I'm like, damn, you went through a jump room to Mars with Barack Obama? Awesome. Yeah, big fat creep. I missed that too. I like that MySpace had music on front page of profile. Yeah, remember, and everybody would tweak the page with HTML, and you had all this blinking shit, and I was great at making MySpace pages. I missed that. I enjoyed time on MySpace much more than I enjoyed time on Facebook, right? I don't know how MySpace died and Facebook took over, because especially if you were a guy in a band, MySpace was awesome to promote your band and your band appearances and all that kind of stuff. And sadly, everybody's MySpace page disappeared. I wished I would have saved it, because I would have liked to see it today and relive those MySpace glory days. Who would have ever thought that I would miss MySpace? But you do, kind of. You feel nostalgic about some things, right? Annie Kurtz says, Sky Daddy Rescue, hope that these aliens are benevolent and will save us from the insanity here. People want hope because they have been lied to. Yeah. Star Fox 85 says, I start to think we're being played from above to the ground, 20 years listening, reading, even visiting. Who knows? Yeah. I mean, it is a great mystery. UFOs and aliens are a great mystery. That's what keeps people interested. That's what keeps people coming back, no matter how many times they're disappointed or it turns out that what people are talking about is fake. We come right back to it, man. I jumped all over that Anjali story. I was like, damn, what if there really is aliens in a mountain? And that whole story just disintegrated and fell apart like I knew that it would. But I followed it anyway because I'm stupid. I'm like addicted to these stories about aliens. I can't stop myself. Annie Kurtz says, lied to about everything. History, religion, school, everything but truth seekers. Well, I'll do my best to never lie to you. Yeah. Yeah, B. Baker says, agreed, Stephen, about Basago. Yeah, he's an interesting character, though, for sure. And I know that, like, from people that I know that have met him, that they said, once you meet him, you kind of forgive him, even if he is making it all up, because he's such a cool, nice guy. And he's so sincere in his belief of his time travels and teleporting stories, right? You know? X-Annihilator asks, was Anjali debunked? Yeah, and she was caught lying several times, including to me. I think she's more or less debunked, or it amounted to nothing. Last I heard, Wayne's got cancer, came back. No, you guys have the wrong Wayne, not the real Wayne. And I'm not going to do that expedition now because Wayne won't let us on the property to talk to the aliens anymore, even though she said she talked to the aliens through some kind of telepathy, conscious contact, she called it, every day. B. Baker says, Anjali flamed out hard. So did Ryan. Yeah. Yeah. But Ryan's, last I heard from Ryan B. Baker, he threatened me. He sent me a legal threat letter because apparently he's planning on suing Charlie Weiser for defamation. I don't know what that's about, but he sent me a very nasty letter saying that I had to preserve all my communications with Charlie Weiser because he was suing her and he is going to subpoena my private communications. And I would just say on the record, I would go to prison before I will share my private communications with a source. I consider Charlie Weiser a source that we have used here and will continue to use. And I'm not going to share my sources, private communications with my sources with anybody, even if there's a subpoena. I'll go to jail first. Other journalists have done so. So, yeah. Let's see. What else do we have here? Yeah, Les Brewer says, Truth Seekers, being curious isn't stupid. Using critical thinking is. Yeah. I think you're right. That's, you know. Annie Kurtz says, the sad part is that there's a kernel of truth buried in this topic. The clowns take advantage and exploit it. Yes, and I've talked about it before. There is a hunger. People love this information. People want this to be true. And the con artists exploit the hunger for UFO and alien information. Now, B. Baker says, Wayne and everyone caught credibility cancer. Sure did, right? Mike Gambelli says, tell him sue this. Yeah, Ryan is a drunken douche. He isn't serious. Well, in his defense, you know, maybe he was having a party that night, right? Maybe he was having a party. Cool story, bro. Hey, Jeremy, alien scientist is here. Look, I'm happy. I finally got this multi-camera setup working. Everything appears Everything appears to be working real nice, Jeremy. I'm happy that I finally got this thing going, right? Dustin Miles Do is here and says, bro, this setup is dope AF. I agree with you, but I'm not done yet. There's going to be at least 6 cameras. Right now, I've only got 3 working for various reasons, mostly because I have to get used to using this multi-camera setup, and I'm afraid that if I just start with 6, I'm going to have a hard time to do it. So I cut it to 3 for now, and then we're going to do the other 3, and I'll try to figure that out without screwing anything up, right? So, friends, we're coming up on 2 hours here, and I am going to, Xmas Rose says, what came of the drunk guy's rant at Angeli? Did he post his info? No, he never provided any of his proof, right? Alien Scientist said, was still fun cross-examining Anjali with you on Alien Girl. Yeah, it was a fun story. I'm sad that it crashed and burned like that, right? And for those interested, there is something like a 60-page document. Somebody did an amazing job documenting the whole Anjali story. I'm going to try to get with them and see if I can't steal that and use it to make a book out of, because they've already got 60 pages. And that's available on my Twitter. I'm going to share it when I get a chance so that anybody can get a copy of that. You should do a show about Mark McCandlish and the documentary filmmaker who was working on a full-length documentary. Then the filmmaker died suddenly. Yeah, we've covered that, actually. We did 3 shows on Mark McCandlish's suicide, Jeremy Walter, and we talked about the claims that the filmmaker died of a fast-acting cancer. Look through our previous videos, or just hit the search bar on our channel and search Mark McCandlish. You'll see we did 3 shows debunking the claims of, people were claiming when Mark McCandlish tragically committed suicide that, he was murdered by the deep state or the men in black or whatever. What are you going to do? Al Garay is here and says, 6 camera angles, David Wilcock will eat your heart out. Yeah. That's why I'm doing 6, Al Gray, because he's got 4. I'm going to have 6. You know why? Because forget David Wilcock. I wonder if David Wilcock's moving back in with his parents now that his wife's throwing him out. Do you think she threw him out of the house or what? Like, I don't know. I wonder how that works. Solar Marshall says, Mike Schratt has a real hard time believing Mark took himself out. I know. I had to talk him off that ledge 3 times so far. Every once in a while, Solar Marshall, he'll call me up again and he'll find some other little tidbit of thing that makes him think that it wasn't just a run-of-the-mill suicide, But I love Mike Schratt. I really do. I think he's a great guy, and I understand, when your whole life revolves around conspiracy land and somebody suddenly kills themselves, it's easy to believe that there's a conspiracy surrounding their death, and it wasn't so simple as just a run-of-the-mill suicide. But I talked to the coroner and the girl that runs the coroner's office, and I talked to the investigating officer that found the body. I'm convinced that what we reported on Mark McCandlish's suicide is accurate. And it's really disgusting that so many conspiracy land idiots went trying to monetize videos and blog posts claiming that he was murdered by the men in black and the deep state. He did say that the leader of the Boeing skunk work tried to put a hit out on him. He said this on Alien Scientist livestream 4 months before he died. I didn't hear that, but again, we talked to the coroner. I talked to the investigating officer. See my coverage of it, Jeremy Walter. I don't really want to go over it all again, but if you're that interested, we did 3 entire shows, and we've got the coroner's report and read it live on air. I think that we thoroughly debunked any possibility that was anything other than a tragic suicide. Walt Corbin says, all future donations go to Wilcock's wife. Oh, I don't know about that. All right, friends. Well, we've been here for 2 hours now. I'm happy to say, thanks to the people using that buy me a beer thing that's in the description of the video, I've got beer to drink tonight. So I want to thank everybody who has been using that buy me a beer thing for their kindness, their generosity, and their support. One other thing I want to thank, we had a PayPal donation. If you like, you can do a super chat while the live show is going on, but if you like, you can send a PayPal donation anytime you want. And the link to do that is in the description. So send me some money. I want to thank David, who recently sent me a kind and generous $10 PayPal donation. That was yesterday. And David said, "Hi, Stephen, keep the show rolling. Rarely catch it live, but always look forward to watching." Sent by David, $10 US. Thank you, David, for your kindness, your generosity, and your support of the show. Every dollar really does help. I'm going to do something else too. For those that don't know, if you're a Patreon member, last night we did a Patreon-only drunk stream. Patreon-only drunk stream last night at midnight. Why? Because I've been saying we're going to start doing Patreon-only streams, and I never do it. So, interestingly, we just announced that last night that we were going to do a Patreon-only drunk stream, and we got 6 new Patreon members, just people who wanted to get in on that stream. So I want to thank all of them. It really does help. The Patreon money pays all the bills here. So I want to thank Adam, who actually modified his pledge from $1 a month to a very generous $3.99 per month on Patreon. I want to thank Kate Schneider. For those who don't know, Kate Schneider is usually in our live chat. That's Dark Journalist Girlfriend, who's become a big friend of the show for becoming a Patreon member here on November 30th. I want to thank Al, who became a new Patreon member. I want to thank Stupid Username Here. I love that. Who became a Patreon member. Also, Bill. Next, we have Drew and Mark. All of you new Patreon supporters, I want to thank you for your kindness, your generosity, and your support. It put a smile on my face. We did this Patreon-only stream, and everybody started signing up for Patreon. But again, I always tell people this. If you're really having a tough time and you would like the Patreon benefits and you don't have the $1 or more a month to throw in my hat, just email me at truthseekershow@gmail.com. I keep a spreadsheet of everybody, that is a big supporter of the show but having a tough time. And you don't be specific. Just say, "Hey, having a tough time. Can I get the Patreon links?" I'll put you on the list, and I send the links to the Patreon benefits to all those people every month. So, because I hate putting things behind paywalls. As far as the Patreon-only stream, well, it was a stream, but I had no plan, and I just drank beer. We talked about music and some other things, so don't expect too much if you're looking for that Patreon-only stream, right? Next time, I hope to have a more structured presentation for the Patreon-only stream. And yeah, out of mind, kindly sharing our Patreon link. Yeah, B. Baker, Dark Journalist. I wonder how he feels about his girlfriend being my Patreon and hanging out with us in the live chat. I'm sure she's in his live chats. I don't know. I haven't been to one of his live chats in a while. I'm going to have to check in and see him, see what he's been talking about lately. Because I used to watch his shows. But honestly, once I started this show, I have so much less time to keep up with everybody. But I do like a lot of his stuff on JFK and Richard Nixon and the UFO files. And he has a lot of interesting and cool guests, right? Yeah, thank you all, Aximus Row, and Praise the Cash. Yeah, I want to thank everybody for their kindness, their generosity, and their support of the show. We had a bunch of people send us some super chats tonight. I am going to take the time to thank each person who sent a super chat tonight. We'll thank you again, and we'll praise the cash. So I want to thank Aximus Row, Lee Guy, Annie Kurtz, Aximus Row a second time, and Jean-Paul Fortier. Thank you for your kindness, your generosity, and your support of the show. Every dollar really does help us to continue to praise the cash, friends.
You're watching Truthseekers. Praise the cash, praise the
cash. I've got some new bumpers to do with my son, so look forward. We'll be getting those finished soon because it gets a little old praising the cash with the same bumpers over and over again. X Annihilator says, "Praise the cash before we have to praise central bank digital currency. It's coming." It's all part of the Great Reset, X-Annihilator, right? Maximus Rose says Daniel is still putting out good stuff. I'm happy to hear it. I'm gonna make it a point to check back in with his show and see what he's been talking about lately, what guests he's had. I used to really enjoy his stuff. And I wanted to mention that he gave me some good advice when I started this show, and he really encouraged me. And he didn't have to do that, you know. I don't encourage anybody to start a show. People ask me, I go, no, you don't want to do that. I don't want any competition. No, I don't care about that. But he was very kind to me. And Kate Schneider is a big friend and supporter of the show. She just signed up for Patreon and gave me a monthly amount that is more than I've ever seen anybody give. I couldn't believe it. I almost fell off my chair. She's a very generous girl, and we thank her for that. So what can I say, friends? I always say this. You always hear me say this. I am always happy when I come here and there's an audience. There's nothing worse than working really hard on a presentation or anything that you're doing and then showing up to do it and nobody's there to see it. I'm very fortunate, and I consider myself blessed. I am so blessed that every time I come here, there is a great audience. Tonight we had a great audience. Thank you so much for being a part of mine. And as for me, there's no place that I would rather be. If I could do it, I would stream 20 hours a day and sleep 4. But, you know, right now we're in a situation of supply and demand. So we're doing just enough shows to keep people coming back, and not too many. I don't want to do too many. I don't want to become a live streamer, right? Who's that guy? Unicock. The guy Unicock. Dude, that dude would do a 2-hour stream, and then he would do a stream of him walking to 7-Eleven to get energy drinks while he talked. And then he would go home with the energy drinks and do another 2-hour stream. And then he would do another stream of him walking to 7-Eleven again to get energy drinks to go back home and do another 2-hour stream. That's crazy. But I guess I could see how people could get addicted to this. You know, it's spotlight like any other art where you're in the spotlight. Some people can get addicted to it. Me, I like to manage it. We want just enough and not too much. So thank you all so much for being here and being a part of the show. I do want to thank Ryan from the Experiencer Support Network and the Beyond the Tinfoil Hat podcast for asking Randy Cramer our questions, because seeing the way that he responded to my questions, yelling and screaming and cursing and threatening me with violence, it made my day. I'm that kind of asshole. I'm sorry, but it made my day. So what can I say, friends? Thanks all for being here. Tomorrow we should have another show, but I have to move some things around in order to get this show tomorrow done. I'll put it on my Twitter. Follow me at Stephen Cambion on Twitter. So until next time, friends, my name is Stephen Cambion. Good night, and God bless all of you.